difficult in the interim, but really with hope we should be able to get there because we have a solid plan and a vision ahead. So yes, that therefore does not leave one sleeping on the job, knowing that there are transition periods that are difficult and that we are committed to getting over it. So the battle cry for this budget is one year here. You know, all of us are going forward together. All of us are going to burden share, and all of us are going to share in the profitability. But leadership always has difficulties, and as I mentioned, one of the most famous finance ministers told me, if you are loved as a finance minister, it's a problem. Leadership is going to always have that hit. Mr. Chairman, I acknowledge that, and Jesus himself said, the poor shall always be with you, which means that we have to continue to fight to alleviate that even as we create health. And my commitment to you is that we shall continue to fight to ensure that we lift the stream for all of our people so that social mobility shall be our lot. And the major flagships indicate a certain clarity that as citizens, everybody should have the required education and skill set to be able to realize their God-given rights. But it does take some walking to be able to get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, leadership.
Chairman, the whip and the deputy leader will take it, but mine is just yesterday, as we scrutinize the Minister for Finance designate, there are two important issues that we requested for better particulars, and he pledged that he would make that information available to us. One, the issue of the reconciliation of the handling of the petroleum accounts and the PIAC report, whether 600 million or 700 million for 2018 or 2019 respectively. There is some 2.4 billion that as a country we need to understand the whereabouts of it. That will require some reconciliation between his ministry and PIAC. We definitely will demand some answers from him how he intends to walk the country through this in the interest of transparency and accountability. The second, Chairman, is in respect of the Mackenzie transactions, their relationship with the Ministry of Finance and GRA. He pledged to make some documents available to us. Chairman, would appreciate it. But just to ask, Minister, have you filed your tax returns, both as a person and in respect of your corporate entities as required by law, and as you yourself have extended it even for COVID purposes? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Yes, I believe I have filed my tax returns. With regards to sort of corporates, if you were referring to corporates such as Databank and so, I'm a shareholder and not, a director responsible for what they do. So I don't have answers for you on those corporates. I did mention, I think we have already spoken to the new PIAC chair that we will be seeing him after the Easter break. So that contact was made even yesterday. The issue of Mackenzie and Co. We are assessing the numbers, and then we will get that to you in due course.
All right, Chairman, my second will be Minister for Finance, not loved by many. In Ghana today, many people are unhappy with you about banking sector cleanup, which has had to cost the state some 21 billion Ghana cedis or more. The receiver of the collapsed savings and loans and other financial institutions are yet to pay depositors, and they are claiming that government have not made enough available to them to pay depositors. Depositors' primary concern is when do we get our money? That has contributed to some hardships, that has contributed to some loss of jobs, but my particular interest is, will government make money available to the receiver of those collapsed savings and loans bank to deal with the cry of depositors? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. I think we continue to fulfill that obligation with regards to payments for that. I mean, we certainly made available to the receivers and participant Bank of Ghana the money required for the banking system. That we are confident that we have fulfilled that obligation. Then we moved on to the asset management companies, in which so far we have given the resources that SEC has requested of us to them. My expectation is that that's going to be about 8.5 billion or so, and we will have to gradually move towards extinguishing that debt through the year, even though there are a number of issues in court as we sit. So yes, Mr. Chair, commitment that we will pay. Also, I think for all of us, really knowing that we are running an extraordinary budget deficit before then, from 4.5 to 11.4, hopefully 9.5 this year. And so in terms of managing of our working capital, it's always an issue that the ministry has to contend with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the first part will just be a comment so that given ministers' deaf on finance and other matters on governance, we can have a national conversation on it. But Article 286 requires public officers, including you, to file assets. Have you done so, Minister-Designate?
Yes,
asset
sir.
declaration.
Mr. Chairman, that has been done.
That has been done?
Yes, sir.
For both when you assumed office and when you exited and having to be walked back to the ministry?
We did it in 2017.
Yes, appreciated.
Signed up, yeah.
Chairman, I raise this because if you read reports from Shiraj and from the Office of the Special Prosecutors, just as to guide him, because the finance portfolio is a very key and important portfolio in our country, there is still the phenomena of unexplained wealth in Ghana, not directed at you personally, unexplained wealth. And there is a view that it should be criminalized. You just have a public officer having millions of dollars or cedis sitting in his account. He cannot explain for it. It's not commensurate to his earnings. What would be your view and thinking, having been Minister for Finance, the Financial Intelligence Center, transfer of money, which goes to individuals, and you just can't explain some of those wealth? Will you subscribe to us criminalizing unexplained wealth, sitting where you are? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. That is, sort of a monumental decision that the nation has to make on that. What is going to be a fact, Mr. Chairman, is that with the advent of the type of digitalization that we want, we're going to be able to aggregate big data going forward. And so in that event, I think it is a national conversation in which Parliament may have to then decide on whether, the past is the past and going forward is what we deal with. And that would clearly signal the type of nature of our people, the forbearance that we want. But I am confident that once we complete the digitalization that Honorable Minister for Communication and Digitalization is looking for, we are going to have a capacity to understand what you own going forward. And maybe Parliament will decide on the cut-off date from when such commitments will have to be made. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to start with Mackenzie, the Mackenzie Group. Chairman, I don't know whether you permit me. Now that leader is not here, nobody's here, I will move.
Honorable Nominee, in 2017, I asked you about this Mackenzie Group that were then in your office, and you said they were not charging us for anything. They were doing it on gratis. Yesterday, in answer,
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
and then you also said they have some project with VRA, that's Volta River Authority.
GRA, that's correct.
Come again?
Ghana Revenue Authority.
Oh, sorry, Ghana Revenue, GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority.
That's correct.
Is that the only projects they are currently undertaking, or they are doing some other more businesses?
I would certainly not know. I know they had conversations with Cocoa Board, etc. I don't know whether that went anywhere. With regards to the questions you asked in 2017, that was factual. We are yet to, they were yet then to get into a contractual relationship with GRA, and we are also yet to settle on a contractual relationship with them for the Obatampa project.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday when he was answering the question, he said he knew some of the officials in Mackenzie before he became finance minister. Is that right?
That's correct.
So this their project with the Ghana Revenue Authority, what is it about?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, we all are aware that we would like the authority to be a lot more efficient than it is. We are at, 13, maybe 14% revenue to GDP, and that can be doubled. And they are known to have been effective in supporting that. Mr. Chairman, I guess from my point, I would like to understand whether A, consultants are not able to help entities, or B, there's a feeling of self-dealing. Is that why these questions are being asked? Or D, they are incompetent for that? Because I get nervous when one begins to throw different issues leading to a certain image that you know, will hurt maybe the objectives of that. So I would like some clarity on what this is about.
Well, Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, I do the asking, you do the answering. You don't, unfortunately, you don't get the opportunity to ask me. I get the opportunity to ask you. But I'm sure as we go along, you'll get to know exactly what I want to get. One of the things I want to find out from you is that the Mackenzie Consultancy with GRA, how was it procured?
That will be the process that GRA put into place for that to occur.
Was it sole source? Was it publicly advertised? Were they competitive bidding to arrive at Mackenzie as the consultancy to deal with GRA with regards to what
you wanted to do, there's a mobile revenue, to boost revenue collection, was what procedure was used in procuring Mackenzie?
I'll have to get advice on that from GRA.
Do you know how much was involved in the consultancy with Mackenzie with GRA?
I don't have the rates with me.
You've not heard that it's about 18.5 billion US dollars? You've not heard that? You are the finance minister. GRA works under you. They procure for consultancy worth $18.5 million, and the finance minister is not aware?
I don't know the efficacy of that number, but I can check on that.
Since Mackenzie engaged GRA, has the revenue target set for Mackenzie to be able to achieve, was it realized?
I think if you look at the growth of revenue in GRA, there's been improvements in there as to whether they have met sometimes the high expectations that we have exacted on them. No, but I think in 2020 we were quite impressed with what they did given the COVID impact of their performance.
Mr. Chairman, was it as a result of your staff work or measures put in by Mackenzie? Are you sure that...
I think, Mr. Chairman, that's always a difficulty in the entry of consultants in everything, where you know, one could question whether it is the new approach that is doing it, or whether the staff could have done it by themselves. And then you look at historical performance and see whether it was beyond what they typically do, to then assess whether the consultancy has been helpful to them.
Chairman, I just want to find out normally the board of GRA is usually composed by the finance minister, am I right?
Yes, yes, but I usually have discussions with the presidency on some of these important areas.
But basically what it means is that the board cannot be composed without your input.
That's correct.
Who is Ernest Akori?
Ernest Akori is a technical advisor at the Ministry of Finance, who I brought in from Databank when I was made finance minister.
So more or less an advisor to the finance minister, right?
That's correct.
Are you aware that
he's also on the board of GRA?
You are aware that the law that establishes Ghana Revenue Authority clearly states that the representative of Minister of Finance will be someone director and above and cannot be below director?
Yes, representative of the Ministry of Finance.
So why will Ernest Akori, who is not a director or above a director, be used to replace a deputy minister of finance on the GRA board?
Mr. Chairman, that was a philosophical decision with regards to the deputy ministers getting off of the board for both ourselves, Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Trade, that because we believe it to be more efficient about that. Now, I thank you for that illumination, and therefore it is possible to get a director level to the board as we select, because he could also be any member of society that could be on the board.
So will you take steps to correct this? Because the law is very clear. You need to use a director or someone above a director to represent the ministry on GRA board.
Mr. Chairman, we will correct this.
Are you aware that when the board were recomposed, they renegotiated the McKinsey deal with the consultancy firm? Are you aware?
Mr. Chairman, I'm aware that a lot of negotiations seem to be going on with the McKinsey transaction. I don't know the final result of that.
But what's necessitated the renegotiation by the recomposed board? If McKinsey was doing the work as they expected, and then a new recomposition of the board with a new Commissioner General comes and they say, no, we need to review the consultancy agreement. What necessitated that?
Mr. Chairman, that's the beauty of changing leadership, and therefore whether performance is ascribed to certain issues, and they feel that the issues have changed, and therefore it should be better aligned to something. I think that's a call of the leadership to do. But I can't ascribe any sort of ill motives to that, except to save more money for the entity or make it more efficient in terms of the contract. We ourselves are negotiating various energy contracts, etc., so that we can save money for the Republic.
Well, I'm happy you were talking about saving money, but how different was the original to the amended one? When the original was $18.5 million US dollars, the revised one says it's reduced to $15 million, but with administrative expenses cost of $3.5 million US dollars. I mean, when you add it, it was still the 18.5. How different was the original with the revised one?
Mr. Chairman, you are mentioning a lot of numbers here, in which I had earlier indicated that I'll make myself familiar with it. So I'll do that.
Mr. Chairman, Minister, this was done at a time when the they were having revenue shortages. GRA was having revenue shortages.
Mr. Chairman, GRA's revenue shortages are not an issue of today. It's yeah. So I need to get into the details of the negotiation.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out from the Minister whether, considering the amount paid out to this consultancy firm, vis-a-vis what they could help GRA raise, does not defeat the basic canon of taxation of economy, that the cost of collection should not exceed the amount raised. How do you intend to ensure that these overpayments are recovered and such engagements in future do not happen? Because if you look at the amount of money that we are paying, even though you say you are not very comfortable with the figure, about $18.5 million, if you look at what came up since their engagement, it's far less than this. So it's making it look as though their engagement has not really brought more than what they are being paid for. Will you consider going into this, and possibly if there's some overpayment, you get them retrieved?
Mr. Chairman, the canon of protecting the public purse is really the responsibility of the Ministry of Finance. As I mentioned, I will look at this and therefore take appropriate measures as required.
Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the Minister, as ISEP reported that clearly Ghana is losing over 2.5 billion US dollars every year from the mining sector as a result of illicit financial flow. I mean, the whole of this week, a number of radio stations were discussing this. What measures is he going to put in place, if given the nod, to help deal with this illicit financial flow?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I think the issue of illicit financial flows is maybe 50, 70 billion for Africa, and therefore, in our view, might be easily 4 or 5 billion in all sorts of ways for Ghana. That we need to put things into place to do that. So first you have the small sort of gold mining area in which we need to tighten exactly how the gold is procured and how it is taken out. So if you look at example of cocoa board's structure, should we be looking at something similar to the small-scale gold industry so that we fund our capacity to be able to buy all the gold and therefore be responsible for export to cut out that? Because it is alleged that the amount of gold that, let's say, Dubai or India will record from Ghana is very different from our exports. So maybe the Cocoa Marketing Board model may be an interesting one to pursue to cut out that. Then on the bigger gold mining companies, basically ensuring that the assaying, etc., is witnessed, and we know exactly the purity that is taken. If you look at, let's say, the manganese industry, where currently they tell us the purity, they tell us the price that they earn, and then they also tell us the weight that goes on. And those are all not verifiable. And therefore, we need to put in place structures to be able to determine that. I think those kind of interventions, when put into place, will make us realize the values that we deserve for that. These have gone on for numbers of years. We've experimented with all sorts of undercover agents, etc. And I think we should be ready to come up with new policies for these areas.
Mr. Chairman, until very recently, any security officer who serves until the age of 45 can voluntarily retire from service and then take gratuity with monthly pension. Since 2017, these officers who retire voluntarily after or around the age of 45 are not given the monthly pension. Minister, why?
Mr. Chairman, I need to look into that. I mean, we to be able to our work with the Minister of Employment and Labor to understand this anomaly.
Because they are accusing that all the paperwork is done, and it's the Minister of Finance who, since 2017, has refused to pay. So this will be very interesting if you get us back some information as to what exactly the reasons may be, and if there's no any good reason. I believe that our men and women in the security services should be able to feel comfortable with at least what they know exists before they enter into the services. Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out from the minister nominee about the procurement of the 4 helicopters. Yesterday, in answering to a question, he was not very sure whether it's been procured. But I want to find out from whether he's aware of this company, Paramount Group of Company, a South African company. Are you familiar with that company?
Very much so, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have any relationship with that company or any person within the company?
No, Mr. Chairman.
In 2018, we took steps to procure these 4 helicopters, and you were able to pay them for the procurement of these 4 helicopters. Am I right?
Mr. Chairman, I think it wasn't only 4 helicopters. There was issues of arms, equipment, etc., and I believe including those. And I know we have, I don't know the numbers, but I know we still have about $12 million to be able to pay them to complete that package that the Ministry of Interior approved for them. So it sounds to me like they have delivered quite a bit of the armament and other things, and maybe it's a delivery of the helicopters, and that may be in abeyance.
Chairman, why did we choose to do pre-financing with this Paramount Group of companies?
Mr. Chairman, the issue of financing of procurement issues, sometimes depending on the urgency with which the various ministries require, leads to certain modifications for that to occur. I think Paramount was already doing business in the country actually before the emergence of our government, and so they must have had prior experience in terms of how they deliver, etc., etc. So it isn't, i.e., a new company on the books of the various ministries, either defense or interior. So they must have some track record.
Chairman, the minister knows that our give-mix system does not allow for pre-financing.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that's true. Mr. Chairman.
So how are we able to make this payment to them when the system that you have put in place or the Minister of Finance have put in place is to ensure that people deliver before they get payment? So how are we able to pay them on a pre-finance basis?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as you realize, we have not paid them fully. We still have $12 million or so dollars to go, with much less of equipment to deliver. But there do come, Mr. Chairman, extraordinary situations of especially security, in which therefore negotiations between the various ministry finance come to bear for us to make decisions as to how to unlock something that is difficult for a country. So that really would have been the reason for that. But as I mentioned, this is a company that apparently had been working with government already before we came, and I presume must have had some good track record for Minister to advocate for us to accelerate the acquisition of what he thought was needed earnestly.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out from the Minister, did they provide any guarantee for those payments that were made?
I don't recall. I can look at those papers.
So can you check that?
Yes, I can check on the papers. but I think also the assurance that in actuality delivery has occurred. It's important.
So, Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the Minister, when do we expect them to provide, especially the helicopters, since you said there were so many other accoutrement that they we were buying from them. When should we expect the helicopters to be delivered?
Mr. Chairman, I would get into this with the Minister of Interior, and I pray that after Easter we should be able to supply you with that information.
Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the Minister, with regards to Ejapa and then the Special Prosecutor, whether he really visited the Special Prosecutor in his home during the crisis or during the investigations.
Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned before, I've known the Special Prosecutor for a while. It wasn't the first time that I was going to his home. Yes, so I did visit him. I had gone to the office on a Friday in which they indicated to me that he was not feeling well and was not at work. So I believe on the Saturday morning, the next day, I did go to visit.
And did you see him?
I did go to visit and I saw him.
And what was the visit intended for? Because you knew he was around that time investigating the issue with regards to the corruption assessment that he was doing, and you were visiting him around that time. What was it intended for?
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't feel that the issues at play stopped me from visiting him. He was not well. And that was important for that to be. I also had supplied Minister of Finance quite a bit of information to him, and at times he had written that he wasn't getting the information as quickly as he wanted. So there was a need in my mind to also bridge that gap. If there was an issue. I think we all know that Mr. Amidou is a very independent person, and so to ascribe being able to influence him by what you say or not, we as a nation know that, and so I wouldn't say that that was an attempt to change his views or anything of that matter.
Mr. Chairman, I just heard the Minister nominee say he has provided him with a lot of information from the Minister of Finance. Is that right?
Yes, which was being basically processed by my Deputy Minister at that time.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chairman, if I heard him in an answer yesterday where he said the Special Prosecutor never gave him the opportunity to be heard, and that was against natural justice. Is it fair to the Special Prosecutor saying that you provided him with a lot of information, you visited him in the house, even though he was sick, and you wanted to close the gap between whatever you've given him and maybe the information that he was having and how he was processing it? Would that be fair to say that he hasn't heard your side?
Absolutely. There's a difference between taking technical information and sitting down with me to go through the information and for me to explain things. We also propose that we do a presentation to him, which we were not allowed to.
Chairman, for the avoidance of doubt, I just want to find out, and I hope that you permit me to do this. I just want to find out what is the relationship between you and the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
What is the relationship?
Yeah, the relationship. What is it between you? What is the relationship? I mean, we all here, that's the President's brother. I just want on record.
Oh, you want clarity on that?
Yes.
Okay, I believe that Nanase Ofori-Atta had some 25 wives or so, and therefore maybe 100 or so children. One of the daughters was the sister, half-sister of my father. And so we are cousins.
So you are cousins. And much the same way, what is the relation between you and Gabi Ochedako?
Cousins, similar.
Similar, it's also your cousin.
Grandfather's daughter is the mother.
And data bank, you said yesterday, if I heard you in the question, you said you've left data bank, right?
That's correct. Left data bank as chairman, as board member. That's correct.
But you are still a co-owner?
I'm still a shareholder, that's correct.
You are still a shareholder in Data Bank?
That's correct.
And yesterday you told us that it's taken over 30 years to get Data Bank where it is.
Well, we did register in 1990.
Which law firm was a legal advisor in the Ejapa transaction deal?
The law firms, quite a number of them, including White and Case, etc., abroad. So they were directly that, in which they then had, I think, Bensiential and Africa Legal Associates as, I don't know whether they're subcontractors. I don't know the terms of it, but certainly it wasn't direct procurement of any local law firm.
So a number of them, and does that include that of Gabi Ochedako?
Yes, Africa Legal Associates seem to have been procured by White and Case to do a specific assignment on the transaction for them, which I believe they concluded.
And you know that this...
Including also Bensiential and Company, yeah.
And this UK law firm is also related to Gabi Ochedako?
The UK law firm, White and Case, I know gave a transaction to Africa Legal Associates.
How were these law firms procured? Which method did you use in arriving at these law firms?
Mr. Chairman, I think that the process was, as far as I know, because I did not participate personally in all of that transaction, was done appropriately, and I believe the AG, was quite comprehensive in assessing whether the right thing was done or not.
So, Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out if he's saying that the right processes were followed, then that would mean there will be an evaluation report that arrive at these law firms, right?
Whatever needs to be done will be done. I mean, I truly do not constrive that anything was done wrongly. I believe things were done appropriately, and therefore maybe an OAG's opinion will be helpful to you.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't doubt that. That's what I'm saying, that obviously as the Minister of Finance who will have engaged all these actors, we definitely will have the evaluation report that tells you the reason for A being involved, B being involved in that, and all that. Is that right?
My expectation, Mr. Chairman, is the resubmission of this transaction to Parliament, which would enable us to go through this in an even more exhaustive way to do that, and whatever reports required should be required. I really I'm being very careful about the issue of innovation and ensuring that we don't bastardize something that is good for the Republic. And so the processes If there are issues, we'll come back to Parliament, we'll go through that. But I think our eye should be clearly on the ball of a nation that is diversifying how it gets resources to go forward. We have done things the same way for hundreds of years, the largest gold exporter in Africa, and we seem to be spinning. So yes, I think these are very valid questions. Resubmission to Parliament will be very helpful. I think we can dot our I's and cross our T's and look at what this will yield the Republic in the long run.
Mr. Chairman, there were media reports very recently that Data Bank has pulled out of the EJAPA transaction, being a shareholder. Is that true?
Yes, I did see a letter, and actually I was quite quizzical. But I think, with corporates, after a point, these noises do not help, and I believe that they thought if their presence was going to be inimical to the realization of this vision which they believe in, then it's better to step out to avoid that noise. But I think as a nation, we should be clear that if this is the effect it's going to have for companies that are competent to take us to the capital markets,
Chairman,
we should clarify.
Chairman, would you leave? Honorable nominee, you mean the media controversies? You refer to noises. I'm saying you mean the media controversies.
That's correct.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, so Data Bank pulls out because of the media, to quote you, media noise.
I'm sure you have Data Bank's letter, and therefore other reasons ascribed to that are clear. And I think one of those was that they were not going to be standing in the way of a deal which they thought was good for the Republic. And if their exit would enable the transaction to go on, then they'd rather do that.
Mr. Chairman, Data Bank is not involved with government business only in EJAPA transactions. Are you going to say that because of this, Data Bank is going to pull out of all government businesses?
Well, that's an issue, and I think that's an issue that we as a country should face. But this is an innovative transaction. I think the issues of going to the euro market, etc., are things that we do normally, and maybe there's a better understanding of it. But I think the cynicism that came upon this, which really is a game changer for us as a nation, requires a different decision-making process by the board, I presume.
Chairman, since yesterday I've heard the minister repeatedly talk about cynicism and the worry of many who are watching, not calling that some specific wrong has been done, or maybe they do not have the facts to say that some wrong has been done. If you have your cousin, the Constitution vests the natural resources of this country in his hands. You are the finance minister, you are a major shareholder in Data Bank, that is the transaction advisor. Your other cousin is having a law firm that is participating in advising. Some of them are, some other firms are his friends. Obviously, Mr. Minister nominee, I don't think those who are raising those concerns are just not doing that about, they are not being, what do you call it, abusive. They are raising concerns that we will all be more careful, because you know the path on conflict of interest and doing the right thing is very narrow. I did not just raising genuine concerns that need to prompt all of us so that we can constantly stay and make sure that we are doing everything right, rather than maybe labeling it as though it is with some ill motives that people raise this concern.
Mr. Chairman, I think that you are right, and in a democracy, all that should happen. The issue really then becomes whether we throw so much dust in any transaction that even as it is good for the Republic, these issues override them, and we put it aside. And I think those issues should be confronted in a way, maybe have a national dialogue on these things so that we can help move forward. Because the history of people in investment bank or Wall Street becoming treasury secretaries or ministers of finance, even in Ghana, is going to continue. And therefore, how do we address it in a positive way for us not to lose the opportunities of innovation, etc., etc.
Mr. Chairman, as the
Honorable nominee, is there any of these transactions since you started operating in Ghana that Data Bank has not been involved in?
Mr. Chairman, I mean, we have been involved. I remember even in when Kwesi Botwe was, the government had always talked about privatizing a number of maybe 6 or 8 companies, Unilever, PZ, Enterprise, shares, and it had been an impossible task. And when we launched our company, I think in 1993 or 1994, we were able to put together $25 million, to execute that transaction, which was new. I think it was maybe 80% of the stock market at that time. And then when we started the Euro bond issuances in 2007, we were part of that transaction in Kufuor. But even before that also, there was a crisis of liquidity in Ashanti, in which former President Rawlings and former President Mills invited us and Cal Bank to bring our expertise to bear to resolve that. So we've constantly participated, independent of which government there was to date.
Mr. Chairman, just follow up on what you just said. In all the Euro bonds that he's talking about, especially the one that he's talking about in 2007 and I think 2014, they went through competitive bidding, and that's how they got involved. Is he saying that since he assumed office as Minister of Finance and all the Euro bonds that Data Bank had participated, they've been procured through competitive tendering?
Yeah. I think we have subjected ourselves, as far as I know, to whatever process that has gone on, including these past 3 years.
Just wanted to be sure whether it was through sole sourcing procurement of Data Bank or through public competitive bidding, because there are other advisors that may be interested and they need to allow level playing field so that you all compete, and if for good reason Data Bank emerges the best option we have, obviously I will be the last to say, because maybe the finance minister is related to Data Bank, meanwhile they made the best, let's throw it away. I'm only asking, are you saying for certain that they went through competitive bidding and you procure Data Bank through competitive bidding?
Mr. Chairman, as far as I know, since 2007, all of it has gone through the ministry's competitive bidding for us to be part of it. I suspect that the issue of the advisory on the Ashanti liquidity crisis was where Professor Mills selected Data Bank and Cal Bank, given their expertise to support the government. And that, I don't think there was competitive bidding.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday in answering a question about enterprise insurance, maybe let me ask this. Enterprise insurance is related to you, right?
I have a shareholding in that.
And enterprise insurance is the one doing the front line. When COVID came, the front line insurance enterprise is part of the insurance companies participating in it.
That's correct.
Were they procured through competitive tendering?
That was a Ministry of Health transaction. I did not follow the process for that.
But I thought that as Minister of Finance, who ultimately pay, you will be watching to ensure that, especially where the enterprise insurance is related to you, you ensure that they do that through competitive bidding, so that nobody can come and question why they are also participating.
I can check on what occurred.
I just want to find out, anytime enterprise insurance company and data bank are involved in transactions, do you recuse yourself when the decisions are going to be made?
If I know about it.
Come again?
If I know that they are competing in any way, I certainly would. Certainly anything that has to do at the ministry, I certainly would know and therefore do not participate in that. And this was the same over Japan.
Mr. I don't find out from whether he knows Dachi funds.
What funds?
Dachi
funds.
It's a fund management company, Dachi, okay, that manages GetFund and other agencies, loans and other things that has to do with GetFund.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I truly have not been following you know, how these procurements are happening, etc., etc. So I would not even know the details.
But you remember the 1.5 billion loan that we procured to assist GetFund improve the infrastructure?
That's correct. There was.
And you know that the disbursement is not done directly by GetFund. It has always go through Dachi funds.
Okay, I don't know the details of that.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted the Minister of Finance to take this seriously, because the Dachi fund mediating between the facility, the drawdown, and GetFund is serving as a bottleneck, because they vet all the contract payment, certificates and other things before payment. When GetFund came to this house, we knew that we were procuring this Minister of Finance, Minister of Education for GetFund to enable them carry out this activity. Now, Dachi fund comes in between, and they have to be paid a fee for just managing something that GetFund can easily do straight. So I hope, Minister of Finance, you take note, so that where necessary, you ensure that these bottlenecks are taken off. To just continue with GetFund, you know that the capping is affecting GetFund in a way that drawdown on this 1.5 billion is based on how much money GetFund itself is able to raise. So the capping has made it impossible, even in almost all these over 3 years, for them to even draw down on 1/3 of the 1.5 billion. And I'm also aware that Cabinet have advised you about this capping, but I still see in this year's budget capping. Minister, why are you still doing the capping?
Mr. Chairman, I think you have mentioned Cabinet advice on that, and we are going to relook at that going forward.
Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the nominee, in the 2019 mid-year budget to Parliament, you mentioned that PPA has saved this country 2.75 billion from reviewing contracts awarded through sole sourcing and restricted tendering. Is it correct?
Mr. Chairman, as far as sort of the data a report we got from PPA. That was the assessment that was given, in which we then shared it in the budget.
Mr. Chairman, why has Minister of Finance failed to provide this evidence to the anti-corruption civil society organizations when they requested?
In terms of the information that is
yes,
in the
budget? Evidence that points to the savings of the 2.75 billion by PPA when they requested from you, the Minister of Finance. To date, Minister of Finance has not provided this evidence of how this 2.75 billion was arrived to them. Why?
Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't know specifically why that has not occurred, and I can investigate. Given that we've put it in the budget and therefore it's public knowledge, I would expect that we should be given that type of information to.
The Minister of Finance, will you provide that evidence to this committee?
Yeah.
Will you provide that to this committee?
Mr. Chairman, I'll work on this one now.
Which evidence are you asking from him?
In the budget, media budget of 2019, the minister reported that PPA have saved this country 2.75 billion through reviewing contracts awarded by means of sole sourcing or restricted tendering. And civil society organizations, especially the anti-corruption group, have been very interested. So they requested PPA to give them this evidence, how they arrive at that. And they said that they have furnished all this information to Minister of Finance. So then the civil society organization followed up to the Minister of Finance requesting this information. The Minister of Finance has not been forthcoming with it. And the Minister is saying that since it's appeared in the media budget, it should be there. And I'm saying that once it's there, can he provide it to this committee?
That's where my problem is. This committee, we are finishing with him today. When will it come? So will it provide it to Parliament? Then we know that because we are finishing this process today. If we cannot bring it today, then what happens to our work? So I'd rather the pledge is to promise to the to Parliament.
Chairman,
okay.
Yeah, we are done. We are by the grace of God, we are likely to finish today. But you know that the report, the earliest it could be taken could be Monday. So we have the whole of the weekend. So that's why I was asking the minister that he should provide this to us as a committee.
Honourable Minister, will you be able to bring the report to us today or tomorrow when Parliament sits last?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would inquire and see how quickly we can, but certainly commit to provide it to the House, as soon as we have it.
If you make a commitment that you bring it, then we mark it down as part of our decision processes.
Yeah,
that's why I want to be sure whether you can do that.
Mr. Chairman, the nominee says I will provide it. I don't see why the chairman should be worried about he saying he will provide it. Mr. Chairman, as you may know, if he says he will provide it, and even let's assume in an unlikely event he's not able to do that before Monday, you can still take his word and get it for us after.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Because I mean, he's still, if his nomination is approved, there's government assurance, he will still be doing business in the House. So obviously,
to be to the House, That's why I want the commitment to be to the House, and I will make sure.
I rather prefer that it's to this committee because we demanded it. If it is to the House, he'll be sending to Speaker, and you may not even know when it has come to the Speaker. But if it is to you, we can get it easily.
Mr. Chairman, before due respect, Mr. Chairman, I don't need to come in here, but I'm a member of this committee. I need a certain clarification. Is it PPA annual reports? PPA annual reports have already been submitted to Parliament.
It is not PPA annual report.
That's why.
But he understands what we are talking about. That's why the question is not to you.
That's why all the information.
Please,
I'm a member of the committee. I need to understand.
Please. Let me regulate this. The understanding is that if it's able to provide it before we close, fine. If not, whenever I get it, I'll make sure it's distributed to members. Please, let's proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from the minister whether he knows this company, KGL Tech Ghana Limited.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, I think yesterday it was one of the questions, and I do know the CEO of the company.
Do you have any relationship with it, or any of your family members related to this company?
Not that I know.
Mr. Chairman, is the nominee aware that they are operating the National Lotteries Authority's 590 game online? I know this question was asked you yesterday, but I just want, for the avoidance of that, I just want to be sure whether you are aware.
I am aware that they are working with national lotteries, and they are working on the game that you mentioned.
Yes, I want to find out whether he was aware when they were given license to operate.
Mr. Chairman, there was a meeting in which the issues of is it the 90 game was brought up, and our legal office tried to understand the structure of that transaction, but I really have not followed up since then as to the eventual resolutions that came.
So I wanted to also find out from him whether he's aware that this company was fined 10 million cedis by National Lotteries Authority, and what the penalty was for.
That were fined
10 million cedis as penalty, and what that was.
And the penalty was for what?
Yeah, that's what I want to find out from you.
I'll need to verify on that.
Mr. Chairman, is he aware this company has promised National Lotteries Authority 30 million cedis by the close of December 2020?
Promised them.
Promised to make payment.
To make payment.
Yeah, to National Lottery Authority to the tune of 30 million cedis by December 2020. Whether is aware of this?
By December 2020. You know, I do not know sort of the full details of how they are operating, but it's something that I can verify for you.
Mr. Chairman, whether he's also aware that this KGL has taken over the operations of National Lotteries Authority by raising funds to pay off the indebtedness of National Lotteries Authority. What is aware?
By raising funds to pay. Mr. Chairman, these then get into details that, you know, I can verify. I know we, as an entity, have been quite has been quite disturbed with the way national lotteries have been operating these 3 years, and subsequent changes are occurring.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out from the minister whether there's any intention, from the Minister of Finance to sell National Lotteries Authority to KGL.
No, we have not taken any policy orientation towards selling any entity. We actually, Mr. Chairman, have also looked at the betting business to really see how between the betting and national lotteries we can do a lot better than we are doing. I think they potentially could form the basis for supporting our sports and culture, and we need to completely overhaul the way in which NLL and betting operates. And so we expect to see some major changes so that we can reap through productivity from these two areas.
Mr. The reason why I'm asking all this is to draw the minister's attention that the relationship that he has with, or knowing the owners or shareholders of KGL and KGL activities around the National Lotteries Authority is something that he needs to pay attention to.
Yes, sir.
And make sure that they are doing the right thing and not exploiting their relationship with him at the detriment of the National Lottery Authority. So I'll be grateful if he pays attention to that. Mr. Chairman, I just want to find out from the nominee whether the Trade Fair Authority works under him.
Mr. Chairman, Trade Fair Authority, obviously, I think between the ministries of Works and Housing and the Ministry of Trade have been, as I know, to be the anchors. There certainly are transactions that they are showing to us about their development going forward.
Mr. Chairman, what warranted the Minister of Finance appointing a CEO for Trade Fair Authority?
Minister of Finance appointing the CEO for Trade Fair Authority.
Honorable, have you appointed the CEO of?
Mr. Chairman, not that I know. I thought it was the presidency and or the ministries that did that. I don't recall writing any letter or whatever appointing the CEO of that institution.
Mr. Chairman, I hold in my hand a letter signed by Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta, the Company Secretary, Ghana Trade Fair Authority Limited, dear Sir or Madam, nomination for appointment as Managing Director. His Excellency the President has nominated Dr. Agnes Edu to act as Managing Director, Ghana Trade Fair Company Limited, pending the appointment of a substantive Managing Director by the Board of Directors. Please give her the necessary assistance, counting on your usual cooperation. Do you remember signing this letter?
Not that but I'm sure it was subject to the presidency.
Now I'm only asking whether you remember signing this letter.
Yeah, I suspect I signed a lot of letters when the Executive Secretary lets me know that certain appointments have been made.
So,
I did not make the appointment.
So, Minister, if you say Trade Fair Authority is under Minister of Trade, between Minister of Trade and Works and Housing, and you are appointing a letter nominating for appointment by the Board of Directors, that's exactly what the Ministers of Trade will do. Will you say that you are not the one rather in charge of the Trade Fair Authority? You don't ask me a question. Yes, Mrs. So, Mr. Minister nominee, on trade fair, do you play any oversight on their activity, especially with their redevelopment of the trade fair?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Actually, very interested in the redevelopment of the program because I think it anchors in the vision of creating Ghana as a destination hub. So it fits into our Batampa project of that site becoming an ICT, a convention center, etc., which will require resources in which the ministry will come in. Yes, so very keen on seeing how that development occurs.
Mr. Chairman, maybe last two questions. I can see them and notice that is itching to come on. Coronavirus Alleviation Program Support Scheme is being managed by the National Board for Small Scale Industry, right, Minister? I'm talking about the Coronavirus Alleviation Program Support Scheme. Mm-hmm. You are aware it's being managed by the NBSSI.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Are you been paying attention how the money is being disbursed? Are you getting any reports on how the monies have been disbursed?
Mr. Chairman, my deputy for finance has been following up on that. As far as I know, not from reading reports, quite extensively, the money has been dispersed quite well, and things are moving in a direction that is good for the project.
Mr. Chairman, the last area that I'm going is Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. Mr. Nominee, are you aware of this company?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Is it a private company?
As far as I know, it is a private company that is working with GRA.
Are you related to this company in any way?
Related in terms of knowing who...
those who are...
I don't have any. I mean, there's a lot of companies. You could say I'm related to Standard Chartered Bank because I know Mansa very well.
No, I'm not talking about knowing people there. When I say related, whether you or your immediate family members or your cousins or
absolutely
having shares there.
Absolutely not.
But you know the actors, maybe friends.
I do.
And what is this company specifically set up to do?
Mr. Chairman, there were two issues in terms of one, verifying imports that come in, and then secondly, setting up a system that checks petroleum imports and outputs, which is a world-class system that has been established so that we know what comes in petroleum and what goes out. So those are the two engagements I am aware of that they do with GRA.
How did GRA procure them? How did they come into agreement with them? Did they do it through competitive bidding, or is it that these people have some specialized skills? That's how they are engaging them. How did they procure
Mr. Chairman,
the services?
I wouldn't be able to get into the details of that for you.
I'm sure.
But I know that those are the two elements, and actually it will be worth it to visit the setup on petroleum that has been, because I launched that, and I was pretty impressed with what the capacity is.
Mr. Chairman, I know one of the essence was measurement projects to boost government revenue, right?
That's correct.
And you've heard a number of times the actors within the oil industry keeps telling all of us the seepages and leakages will you say the setting up of this company has improved government revenue in any way?
Mr. Chairman, I think there's a number of issues in the petroleum industry, but at the very least, we should be able to have a baseline as to what comes in and what comes out, and that is important. And then we move on to activities which may also be completely criminal and comes out of that. But I did have a conversation with Mr. Akwaba, the new chair, that we should sit down to really, as a team, not for him to leave it to government, but for us to be able to address this once and comprehensively with all of us involved. And now the new honorable member in Parliament, I think we'll get to the bottom of this. National security has also been alerted in a reinvigorated way, and in the past 2-3 weeks, see some actions in there that will be helpful. So I think the totality is what we have to look at in terms of the ecosystem that we are putting in place.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Honorable Deputy Leader.
Honorable nominee, first, I commend you highly for your commitment in serving your country. You know you've been unwell, but you're determined to serve your nation. Clearly, and restore credibility to the microfinance industry and strengthen Bank of Ghana's supervision. Now, would you say that the banking sector cleanup you undertook, and rightly so, as the rot there had already been observed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, was right and on time?
Mr. Chairman, I mean, this is pretty profound. As I mentioned, the AQRs were done prior to the time we came, and even as the former president articulated the problems so clearly, there was still the issue of will and courage to move forward with that. And that is what President Akufo-Addo came to do with the new management of the Bank of Ghana. So we would really have appreciated sort of the other side of the aisle clearly being on our side in what we did, and also to be clear that these were not, this was not a policy that was looking to target individuals. The rot was known. Cleaning the stables had to be done, and we took up the challenge for that.
So simply put, the steps taken were so done in good faith and without any ill motive, as
completely.
others speculated.
Mr. Chairman, completely. And we have seen the results have been good so far.
Very well. Ghanaians are concerned. In this COVID era, government will struggle with revenue mobilization and all that. Do you assure Ghanaians that all the social intervention programs as captured in the 2021 budget will be sustained?
Mr. Chairman, I think President has been clear on lives and livelihoods as a fundamental intervention that we are doing, and those who continue leave food, school feeding, etc., and even the electricity and water to a certain extent. So yes, the social interventions will continue.
So, finally, the cocoa sector, when you are whipped, you have to comply. That's the rule. Finally, cocoa sector, they are reporting low sales. And for farmers, once they have made the beans available, there can be no excuses for whatever happens on the international market. Really, they are also thinking about their livelihood. What plans have you to sustain the cocoa industry?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think, Mr. Chairman, the issue of these 650,000 families is one that we hold sacred, and therefore we would always ensure that their payments are done. As you know, we are even moving further over a certain pension scheme, and that will further support them. So I would not have any hesitation in declaring that at any point in time, farmers who sell their seeds to us will be duly remunerated.
Mr. Finance Minister-Designate, in relative terms, would you say that you have imposed more taxes and levies on Ghanaians than the previous regime?
Mr. Chairman, no, I wouldn't say that. I think if we look at the raft of taxes that we abolished, the reduction in electricity at some point, what we did in the COVID period, and still be able to sustain the type of growth that we have and still exit the IMF program, it is quite clear that on a net basis, we have not really hurt the Ghanaian taxpayer, and it's a lot better than if we look at the statistics for 2016, in which productivity was down, and yet certain taxes were raised, which we came to abolish. So no, we have not net increased taxes.
So let me sign out with this. In 2017, you reported that the debt situation as you inherited was around 122 billion. And the records also have it that in 2009, the NDC administration reported having inherited a 9.5 billion debt. Now, percentage-wise, that is 9.5, and the 122 you inherited, that's about 1,200% or more. My math is not too correct. Now, the critics are worried about the 291 billion you are reporting today. Relatively, would you say that they have justification?
Mr. Chairman, I think I tried to go through this yesterday, indicating the cost of the banking crisis, energy costs, etc., COVID, which all indicated legacy costs, which amounted to some of this, including foreign exchange. But usually you get into a state of bankruptcy with regards to the speed of accumulation. And therefore, when you have 1,000% accumulation, that certainly leaves you into the bosom of the IMF, and therefore the derailment that subsequently occurred. You can see that the progression was not like that. in our period in terms of the rate of growth, and you can also identify specific items that led to that. But I think we are in a good place to manage the sustainability as we look at the 3-year plan to bring it down into the ECOWAS levels and also make sure that our deficit returns to as we are. So yes, a 1,200% increment is egregious, and it will certainly lead to an unbalancing of the economy. I think ours has been more gradual and also specific on items that were legacy that had to be done, such as President Mahama's recommendation that we need to tackle the banking sector. Thank you.
Just a follow-up, are you suggesting that your 2021 budget has introduced more incentives to support private sector growth than taxes and levies imposed?
Oh, definitely. Certainly, we brought down some income taxes. We have tax deductibility for tourism and other industries, and then guarantee funds for them. So yes, we are doing well on that.
Very well. We've done 2 hours. We will give ourselves 10 minutes break, stretch, and then we'll resume to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you very much.